Okay kids, this is a piece of speaker wire. This is a piece of automotive electrical wire. One is made to carry sound and one is made to handle electrical loads and handle actual voltage. This is like electrical class day one stuff. Want to take a guess what this guy used to fix a fuel pump on a van? So I got a phone call from a customer that, well, somebody's never been here before. They were broke down on the side of the highway and they just had somebody work on their 2000 Dodge van. The guy put a fuel pump in it, and from what the customer said, that he did some wiring repairs and he used speaker wire. So part of me did not want to get involved in this job, but I said, yeah, sure, bring it in. It's, you know, February, it tends to get a little slower over here, so, you know, I can use the work. So let's talk about Craigslist mechanics. First of all, I have never seen one. I don't know what they look like, but I'm pretty sure that they're pretty shady and they're not very good at what they do. And I'm only basing that on, if they're so good, how come they're not working at a garage full time making a ton of money? Second of all, I don't think it's fair to guys like me that are trying to run an honest shop where I'm paying taxes and I have all this overhead, and this guy is just trying to do it on the side and say, oh hey, I can make a couple bucks and I'll fix your car. The other thing is, he was telling the people that, oh, he's got all his certifications and that he's really good and he'll get it fixed and get it all taken care of. So I think the repair lasted maybe a day or two. So we're gonna get it in the shop. I just got here this morning and it was a miserable drive to work because it was snow overnight, so there's always an accident on the way to work in the morning when there's snow. Everybody forgets how to drive. So we're gonna get it in the shop. I'm gonna look it over and I'll show you what I find, because to be honest with you, I have no idea how bad this is gonna turn. So we'll go take a look. Okay, so here's our lovely van. The first thing that I noticed when I popped the hood on this thing, this is what the guy used to actually wire up the new fuel pump. He literally took speaker wire and he went from the pump, and all he did was take a razor blade and shave the insulation back on the power and ground wires for the fuel pump and ran them up to the battery. He also unplugged the harness that goes from the main engine harness to the fuel pump. And from what I got from the customer, was his logic was that he thought there was something wrong with the wiring, and he just unplugged it, so he just hardwired the pump. And I don't know why you would do that. The guy calls himself a mechanic, and it's beyond me that you would even think to run speaker wire for wiring on a fuel pump. There's too much current that goes through it, and if you look, I mean, this wire is really small. I mean, the sheathing is thick on it, but the wiring isn't that good on this thing. Okay, so here's the new wiring. Literally, guys, it takes like 2 seconds to put a heat shrink butt connector on something to repair it. The heat shrink works really well. It keeps the salt out, keeps the moisture out. You're not going to have a corrosion problem where this thing comes back in 6 months, especially being up in Cleveland. We get all that salt and everything. It's just going to get on it and it's going to corrode it, and then you're going to get a comeback. It's going to hold. There's no problem with that. I'm going to wrap everything in electrical tape afterwards, put it back in the tubing, so it looks like a nice and professional job. Now, the one thing that I will say, we plugged it in after we put this back on and plugged it into the fuel pump. There's zero fuel pressure, so this pump is smoked even though it's brand new, because it probably burnt up. So I got a new pump coming. I'll put that in and we'll show you guys what we find afterwards. It should fire right up after that. There is gas in it. I did double check that. So yeah, I can't believe, if you look under here, you can see all he did is just wrap the speaker wire around things and just ran it all the way up to the engine, or to the battery up front. I mean, this is the biggest hack job I've ever seen in my life. I've had customers that don't know what they're doing on cars do a nicer job. There's a reason this guy's working by himself. No shop would ever hire him to do work like this. So it's terrible. So you get what you pay for, unfortunately, sometimes. Okay, we got our new fuel pump put in. I still have it on the ground. I didn't put it back up yet because I just want to make sure that it fires up, and I'd hate to put it back up and then start it up and then nothing works. So I'm 99% sure this thing's going to kick right over. So we're going to go into the car real quick. And then we got our fuel pressure gauge hooked up. We're going to see if this thing starts up. It should fire up. Got our gauge. Alright, it starts. Okay, we got this van back together. It runs fine now. Like I said, don't get a mechanic off of Craigslist because it's going to just be more trouble than it's worth. Find a shop that you can deal with and that's reputable, and you're going to save money in the long run. Alright, sorry if the sound sucks right now because it's raining outside. It went from snow this morning to rain, and if it's not that good, I'm sorry. You know, I guess what really aggravates me the most about this whole situation is that the guy, charged these people who, I don't know if they're down on their luck or what, and they're trying to save money, but you're going to just scam somebody. And the one thing that you couldn't see in the video, when the guy actually ran the wiring up to the battery cables, he didn't even use like an eyelet or anything like that to tap into the batteries. He just took the wire and he like jammed it on the positive and the negative terminals of the battery, and then just like tightened it down, and didn't even do a good job at that. And for I'm not gonna knock somebody who may be like a mobile mechanic and advertises on Craigslist and does like a really nice job. I'm sure they're out there, but to like try to sell yourself and tell people, oh, I'm certified, I got all my certifications, I'm educated on this stuff, and then just completely do something like that just blows my mind. It just gives mechanics a bad reputation, and we have a hard enough job right now trying to convince people that we're not all thieves, and then this guy just reinforces that stereotype. It just blows my mind. But I'm glad we were able to take care of it. I'm glad we were able to get the customer back out on the road, so he can go to work and do what he needs to do. So thanks for checking out the video. Like and subscribe. If you got any questions, leave them down below. I'll try to answer as many of them as I can. So we'll see you next time. Thanks.